Basically, to set this up, I was a firefighter, but of course, the pay, they take so much out with insurance and pension and this, that, the third. We need a part-time job if you want to live, you know what I'm saying, if you want to have some fun and not merely exist and run calls. So I picked up a job at Grady as riding as an EMT. So this is what that shift, the call that changed my shift and my life. Grady Unit 695, respond to Metropolitan Parkway. Now, when it comes to emergency medicine, unpredictability is part of the job. You never know if the next call will be a heart attack, a car crash, or a cry for help that no one else really knows how to answer. That morning, the radio crackled with a call that seemed routine enough. A 52-year-old female off medication, flashing drivers, walking in and out of traffic. It was my third hour into a 13-hour shift at Grady, one of the largest public hospitals in the South. My partner and I, we had a system. He drove, and I handled the behavioral emergencies, because people get antsy about babies, psych patients, and the like. So you figure out how you're going to divide the work and you do it. That division wasn't random, like I was mentioning, it was personal. My biological mother had lived with schizophrenia until her death at age 42. In the 1980s, no one spoke openly about depression, psychosis, stress. People just said my mother was crazy. I still remember her walking down Albany Avenue in Hartford, Connecticut, wearing a pink tutu and a white leotard, smiling at strangers who didn't understand. I was too young to see she wasn't dangerous. She was sick, and society and family didn't know quite what to do with her. On the way to Metropolitan Parkway, all I could think about is, please don't let this woman be wearing a tutu. Right. Meeting Miss Mary. When we arrived, Miss Mary stood near a weathered Cutlass Supreme, her yellow sundress dancing in the breeze. She was poised, articulate, and surprisingly self-aware. My daughter's getting on my nerves, she told us. I need to go to Georgia Regional for 30 days. Her honesty made me smile. I invited her into the back of the ambulance where it was cooler. As I checked her pulse, she explained she had schizophrenia, high blood pressure, and was borderline diabetic. She stopped taking her meds because it made her feel off balance. She didn't like feeling like a vegetable. Something I'd heard before, and something I understood. Then, with blunt curiosity that often comes with familiarity, she looked me up and down and asked a question about my sexuality. One that could have stung in another setting, but her tone wasn't cruel. It was matter of fact. Before I could respond, she added, "My grandson's gay too, and I love him. When we walk down the street, he holds my hand. Don't let them folks bother you, baby. You just be yourself." The tension in that ambulance dissolved into something like grace, a mirror in the back of the ambulance. Miss Mary didn't know she was speaking to someone who had spent a lifetime wrestling with identity. I'd always been aware of my otherness, the way I walked, talked, carried myself. At 6, a cousin once asked, "Why do you walk like that? You walk like a girl." Later, my grandmother, who I love deeply, told me, "Babe, you got a spirit inside you. One I could pray to God to take away." I didn't understand what spirit was, only that it seemed to make people uneasy. Her words filled me with confusion. How could I pray away something that felt so natural, something that I was, something that was me? Years later, in the back of the ambulance, Ms. Mary unknowingly answered my grandmother's question. She told me without apology or hesitation to live in my truth. Her message, "You just be yourself, baby," felt like permission I'd been waiting my whole life to receive. Beyond the emergency. After that call, I couldn't stop thinking about the deeper patterns I saw every day. So many people like Ms. Mary were cycling in and out of emergency rooms, never getting the long-term care they needed. So many families like mine were left to cope alone. Too many conversations about health stopped at the body and ignored the mind and the structural issues that shape both. Being an EMT taught me that to treat the crisis in front of me. But I began to realize the bigger work lay in preventing the crisis before it started. That's when I found my way to public health. Public health asked the questions that had been haunting me all along. Why do people like Ms. Mary fall through the cracks? Why don't families like mine get the help they deserve? Why do stigma and silence still have so much power over who gets well and who doesn't? I wanted to do more than respond to emergencies. I wanted to change the conditions that cause them. You got work to do. Months later, I saw Miss Mary again. I was sitting at a red light in Atlanta's West End, and when I stopped, her black miniskirt, red sandals, and that same confident stride caught my eye. I rolled down my window, waved, and called out to her. She turned, met my eyes, bent down with a knowing smile. "Don't be late, baby, you got work to do." Turned around and kept walking. Her words have stayed with me because she was absolutely right. I do have work to do. Work that honors my mother. Work that lifts people like Ms. Mary. Work that challenges the systems that silence the vulnerable and stigmatize the misunderstood. That single 911 call didn't just change a shift, it changed my purpose. That's why I chose public health and firefighting, not for the prestige, but for the people, for those who walk through the world labeled as problems when really they're prophets, reminding us all what care should look like. Thank you.